Alright, what's going on everybody? 4v4 team game show match between Suomi and WWP. Yo, Lix, Tim, and Vivi for the Chinese team, and Rubenstock, Max, Vilas, and Zupi will be playing the Finnish team here. You got hidden, free, no repeat civilizations, so Mayans and Vikings flanks for Suomi, Kumans and Hans Pocket versus Franks, Berbers Pocket, and Chinese Britain's flank. Interesting. Like, the thing is, as we jump inside over here, and I think someone dropped. The beauty of team games. Yeah, someone apparently dropped. Or was the restart? Did they screw up the positions? Because they didn't actually pick like appropriate colors. It wasn't cold versus warm. So maybe they screwed up the positions. Let's take a look at that because it's going to take 2 minutes until they set it up. So you get Britons for Tim. He's flank. Franks for Yo in pocket. Berbers for Lix. And Chinese for the little Vivi. That looks alright. Vikings, Mayans flanks, and Kumans Hans pocket. So locations isn't the problem. If someone didn't drop, I don't know why this is a restart, but it was an immediate restart. So it's 8 seconds into the game, didn't even start making houses. So this is pretty much instantly restarted. I have no idea why. But yeah, as you see, we'll not be able to use Capture Age. Oh, Zupi dropped. Yeah, that makes more sense. So we'll not be able to use Capture Age for this one because it doesn't support 4v4. It only supports 3v3s, unfortunately. And once again, be prepared to face a lot of lags because Definitive Edition 4v4s will probably have like 5 FPS in late game. I'm a bit scared about that. Like, the thing is that I have serious concerns about the game just crashing onto me when I'm casting team games because I feel like the game is just not really able to support team games currently, which is sad because this game has been out for 1.5 years. But anyways, try number 2. Wasn't 4v4 good before last patch? Well, they actually improved a little bit on that, but then it went back to being absolute junk. So it's still pretty much like very, very bad in terms of
I know the pain of transcontinental relocation
gameplay quality. Look at that. Ghost of Yoda, good luck with the move. I know the pain of transcontinental relocation in a pandemic. Thank you so much, Ghost of Yoda, for the donation. I greatly appreciate it. Yes, indeed. It's gonna be a fun move, let's say. It's gonna be entertaining. Is this the first game? Yes, if we actually get in there, it's going to be the first game. So you haven't missed anything. In fact, here is... this is not the overlay I want. This is the overlay I want because this has this nice little edge for the map that makes it looks a little bit better. Alright, so we are gonna have a team game show match over here. We will have WWP playing in 1 to 4 in terms of colors, and 5 to 8 is the colors for Suomi. So let's take a look at what we have here. Tim as Britain's flank in blue, other flank is going to be Vivi as Chinese in yellow, pockets are Yo as Franks, and Lix as Berbers, which is one of the more interesting pockets. You got Rubenstock as Mayans in teal, and other flank is Vilas' Vikings in orange. Zupi will be playing Huns, and we will have Max as Kumans in purple. So, thanks a lot, Aussie Drongo. I appreciate that. This is actually the in-game overlay. Oh, wait. Wait. Yeah, wrong scene. Sorry. The thing is that this overlay is actually meant for the customized like reposition map and whatnot. However, if you do that, you can't actually fit all the player names in here. In fact, if you are looking out for this, you can see that the last player is missing from this list here. In fact, 2 players are missing. That's something that we can't actually fix. The only way I could actually fix it is if I reduce the font size over here to the normal one. But if I reduce the font size, you're not going to see any stats for the individual players. It's just bad. This is why I was hoping that Capture Age overlay actually supports the 4v4. But, well, it doesn't. So, oh yeah, and there is no scoreboard. Totally prepared streamer. I was completely prepared to cast 4v4 team games today. Alright, so we got an eagle over here from Rubenstock. As far as I know, laming and everything is allowed in these show matches. So, especially when you have a Mayan eagle, you can definitely go for a laming strategy. A Dark Age eagle should be able to beat a Dark Age scout, so a Vivi, or it's actually Tim, he's going to try and take the hill and he's going to be fine. Chatbox, I don't usually do chatbox. I could, but it's not really a thing. Laming allowed and no feudal sling. Yeah, honestly, no feudal sling, even no castle age sling is completely justifiable, as we have a villager isolated. This is something that requires a lot of team coordination. Isolate one villager with 2 scouts and try to pick it off. Max trying to block it, and that's a villager down from Tim over there in early game. Other side, we got Vivi getting his sheep in here, and I guess the same attempt is being made here by Viles and Zupi, trying to isolate the villager on the wood line and then get a kill in. So, that scoreboard is actually a little bit mispositioned as well. Oops. Don't worry, we'll fix that as well. How about that? So you can actually see the age as well. Yeah, this looks acceptable, let's say. Alright, so now that we actually prepared ourselves for team game casts over here, let's see what we do have. We have no drushes coming from either flank right now. Pockets will probably be doing 20, maybe even 19 pop scouts. So, Yo is going to be one of the pockets. Yo is going to be up against Max as a pocket. And Max, this is the tricky thing. He can actually have a better eco than Yo in like mid-feudal to late feudal. And then that can actually translate into a triple stable Knights build, even though he can transition to Knights a little bit later. So, in early castle, Suomi is going to be behind in Knight numbers, and I think that's what China has to play for. In fact, you have Franks for you. With the strong eco, you can actually support 2 stable Knights production without any problems. And Berbers, it's a super cheap civilization in terms of Knight production. You won't have Paladin available, so you want this game to end fast, and you don't even want to match up against Cumans in long term. So I would say that I could justify maybe even triple stable Knights from the Berber player and just try to capitalize on the fact that the Cuman player is going to be later into Castle Age than the opponent's pocket civs. So just try to win with early Knights, especially considering that the maps are relatively open for everybody over here. Alright, Woz coming up here for Tim. Nice little Woz for him. He's gonna have a safe gold mine, which is always a priority. The back of his base will be a little bit open. Yo's base is like super wide open. Not so great, but this wall off here would help this gold mine quite immensely. Wall off here from Vivi on the right side. Not a big fan of this gold mine. This could be denied by archers, but I guess he could take this one in case of emergency. Vilas walling a little bit over here. Fun fact, in team games, Vilas always picks orange. That's something I noticed. As much as Max loves his teal, which is something that he didn't pick right now, he picked purple because he wants to be pocket. But normally, if he has the option to do so, he picks teal. Vilas loves to play orange. Anyways, this scout is chilling over here right now for licks. Not sure what he's waiting for. Everybody going into feudal. Latest to feudal age is going to be Vivi, surprisingly. What is his plan over here? This is a rather late feudal age from him. So he's going up at 24, which would be standard 22 pop for other civilizations. Depends on how much idle time you had in Dark Age. Tim, by the way, apparently lost another villager. No, that's not a villager, that's a scout. So you see that he has 2 deaths. He lost a villager, and he lost his scout because he has 0 military. So Tim is down by a scout and down by a villager. Not so ideal on this flank. And we are gonna have straight archers from our Mayan player. Max is going to play probably just 2 TC boom here. He's not making a barracks. If he wanted to play scouts as well, he would make a barracks by now, but he's not doing it, so this is a very greedy full feudal boom. If he gets into Castle Age, he's gonna be able to dominate with knights, but I think that for the Chinese team, that's exactly what they have to play for. Just beat him to Castle Age and overrun one of the flanks with knights, potentially. Especially the cheap Berber knights can help immensely. Anyways, it looks like Lix is going to try and finish off Zupi's Hunnic scout over here. Vivi's woes are actually quite big over here. Vilas and Vivi both have a 6 HP scout over here, and Zupi should lose that scout, I believe, at some point. Anyways, Vilas will be pretty much walled over here. There is no team walls from Suomi. It's actually just individual walls from everybody, and it looks like Yo is going to be able to lame 2 sheep from Rubenstock. The 2 sheep weren't actually found. There is an early scout coming in here to get a vulture pick. Unsuccessful so far. And we're gonna have archers from Rubenstock. He already had to invest into 2 spearmen though, so that's not ideal. Tim will be fully voled, and he is coming in with the archers. He's gonna have the faster working ranges, and he's opening with 2 ranges as opposed to just 1 from Rubenstock. So Rubenstock could be in trouble here, because he could get overrun by archers very easily, especially considering that Max isn't going to be there to help. So I feel like Rubenstock is just going to be the punchback here in this game. He's gonna be beaten up pretty hard, because he's gonna get doubled by Yo and Tim, with double range Briton archers and Frankish scouts, and there's going to be no help from the pocket here. So yeah, I guess Max is gonna have to carry this one in Castle Age, but I wouldn't be surprised to see a 3v4 in Castle out of this one. Other side, we have Volofs coming in. I think they want to do Team Vols, but that's going to take quite a lot of time. Double range archers from Viles over here with Vikings. If they can actually do these Team Vols, that would be nice, but I mean, Zupi's base here is still open, so it's never really gonna be a Team Vol anytime soon. And that could be a Vulture pick. That's a beautiful move over there from Lix, who disengages at the wrong time. I don't like that. I feel like if he could have just committed, and he would have been able to pick that Vulture without actually losing the third scout. Nice trap over there from Zupi. Those 2 scouts are relatively weak, but we have 1 Vulture less from Zupi. So far, Suomi is pretty much just defending, but that's the game plan. Max just booming. In this one, we got counterattack from Zupi. All the Chinese players are fully voled, so those scouts will not do anything. The vols aren't big, but they're just enough to keep scouts out, and that's exactly what you want. In 4v4 team games, the pockets aren't really gonna be hit by archers, so, or at least not very frequently. There is a hole, by the way, over here, I believe, in between those. Actually, no. The hitbox is just weird. But anyways, the pockets will not really be hit by archers, and because of that, the pockets will be fine with some small walls that just prevent scouts from running into their base. Not sure why Lix is actually, or Tim is sending his scouts to the base of Yo. This makes little sense to me. Are they afraid of Rubenstock pushing Yo here, or what? I don't know what these archers are up to here. These make little sense. Anyways, we're gonna have archers coming in here from Viles. They would be much better used over here, and you really have to ask the question where Vivi is at. Vivi is moving out to his archers right now, so Lix gonna be pushed pretty hard over here by Viles, supported by Zupi's cavalry. But I feel like the Chinese team actually has the numbers advantage over here. Rubenstock has some archers and spears over here as well. There is 2 spearmen, so this might be a little bit too much for Yo to handle, otherwise he's going to lose a lot of HP on those scouts. A market wall works out nicely. The scout... There is just only 1 scout in this stable, so it's not really going to help much. And it looks like, where's Tim's archers at? There's a couple over here, but that's not an awful lot. And it looks like when Vivi arrives and takes the hill, the Suomi team is gonna have to disengage from this one. Archers moving up though, and as I said, Zupi, or Rubenstock is just making the second range. So numbers-wise, Tim should have a clear numbers advantage. He's got 14 archers, 14 as well for Rubenstock, interestingly. So it seems like the double ranges aren't paying off for Tim because he has quite a lot of idle time on both. That's actually a huge loss for him. Double Briton ranges should actually beat Mayans in numbers very easily. But Rubenstock is actually on par with him in terms of numbers. Archer micro coming in here. Reinforcements will be a little bit easier for Rubenstock here, so he can actually try committing to this fight, and so he does. That's a very, very nice one. And we got Yo and Max also going to Castle Edge. So Max didn't go super, super greedy. He's just going straight into Castle Edge, and he's going to be at 46 villas, which is pretty admirable. And so far, Suomi has been holding, and they will have the strongest pocket player in the game in a matter of seconds. So this is looking decent for Suomi now, because they didn't actually take a lot of damage. And Max had an untouched boom into Castle Age. And here is 1 stable, 2nd stable, scale boarding, as you have to do it. 3rd range coming in here from Rubenstock, so they want to capitalize on early castle here. And is he going up? Yes, he's gonna go up and go triple range crossbows over here. We got Castle Age coming in from Lix as well. So Lix, Yo, and Max are already going up, and I think Vivi is gonna click up soon. So Tim is actually quite late. This could be very troublesome for Tim. Because Tim is gonna get beaten to Castle Age by quite a massive margin. And he's gonna be beaten by quite a lot of crossbows. And those will be supported by knights. Tim could be in trouble here. Other side, however, Vilas hasn't clicked up just yet either, but he's gonna have a fairly strong eco that is pretty much comparable to the Chinese eco. If you do the math, if Chinese research the wheelbarrow, they pretty much lose the free villagers advantage that they had, but the free wheelbarrow of Vikings is the exact same thing pretty much. So Chinese and Vikings eco, once Chinese get the wheelbarrow, in feudal age is just pretty much even. Anyways, defensive tower is forced on Ruben's stock, which is not ideal, but I don't think it's a big issue because he's going triple ranges, so it's probably not going to be additional town centers anytime soon. He could actually squeeze in one additional TC, but I guess that would be for University Ballistics. So, in this case, triple ranges, University Ballistics fits in quite nicely to this one, and he's going to be playing with crossbows. Castle Age is in for Lix, who is playing with just double stables for the time being, and this villager could get intercepted. That would be a nice find from Zupi. In fact, there is a hole on Lix's walls. Yeah, I think Zupi actually wanted to go in here with the scouts, but he decided a little bit too late, so it's gonna be walled off. If he can kill that will with the scouts, that's perfectly fine, but he decides to disengage. Yo's got quite a lot of knights on the field already, so that's something to monitor. But here's the soon-to-be crossbows moving out from Ruben's stock. They'll have ballistics very soon as well. Might even be tumbering immediately if you look at those resources. That could be a fast ballistics and tumbering. Let's see. Crossbow Botkin is going to fit in. There is a little bit low on gold for Ruben's stock. He needs a bit more gold for tumbering, but there is Market coming up first. It's going to be followed by University. Not ideal for Ruben, but it's going to be fine. And they could actually try pressuring... It's pretty hard. Tim is gonna do the stone walls just like Tim always does. And this defensive tower is actually immensely helpful here for Tim to keep those intruders out. Scouts will get pretty much beaten by this knight, so this isn't really going to do much for Zupi. And speaking of Suomi, we got Castle just kicking in for Viles, and the crossbows of Vivi are inside. That's 35 archers against what's gonna be 28 crossbows. And those guys will have +2 defense as well. Viles has +1 defense. Crossbow Botkin just coming in, tries to go for fast ballistics. There's a lot of things happening in a 4v4, so we might actually miss on some action, but that's how 4v4 usually works out. So, main action is over here. I think Viles is trying to wait until he can get ballistics in for himself. A little bit low on wood for that. But the other problem is that he's also behind in terms of archer armor, which is going to make life a little bit harder for him. There is also some cavalry support here. That's that villager over there. So here is the fun part. Tim is also up. Tim is gonna go for fast ballistics. And what is Ruben's stock up to? Ruben's stock is on triple ranges, University ballistics coming in. No tumbling just yet for him. Can you zoom in a bit? If I zoom in a bit more, then you're not going to see if you zoom in a little bit more, then you are just going to be missing on so many details. This is, I think, the standard zoom, so this is why I'm using it. More zoomed out would actually make you miss events because things are so small, but more zoomed in would actually make you unable to actually see what's going on in the grand scheme of things, especially in 4v4, where there is so many things happening. We might miss on a lot of things if we zoom in a little bit more. That's unfortunate, but it's the way Age of Empires is actually happening. Anyways, losing the archer range would be pretty bad for Viles over here, but that's quite a lot of knights from Lix, and I'm not 100% convinced that that was a good fight for Lix over there. This is an interesting decision from Viles. You can actually delete that barracks, so you can open up this wall and let your crossbows help Zupi over there. We got a sneaky crossbow play over here, and I wonder if Vilas actually knew about that hole over there. Because those crossbows went out over there, and Vilas theoretically is walled, but this is a hole. So I could actually think that Vilas maybe was missing out on that hole. Anyways, crossbows now heading towards Zupi, hitting the pocket over here. Same for the knights, and Zupi could be in serious trouble. That's -2 wheels over there, knights bashing through the walls. Vilas is going to have to help. Knights will intercept these knights over here, so that should be a relatively even trade. Other side, we got crossbows and knights coming in here. Eco-wise, we have 89 villagers for Max though, and that's something to keep monitoring. That Suomi is taking quite a lot of damage and pressure over here. However, Max is having an insane boom over here, and honestly, if you look at Max's resources, he's going triple stable knights, but I think that he's getting close to clicking up to Imperial in terms of resources relatively soon. It's actually 4 stables now. That's a nice round. That's a beautiful surround, and Vivi's army could go down in a matter of seconds. That's a beautiful engagement for Suomi. I'm not going to say it's a game-winning engagement, but it's a game-deciding engagement, I would say. So, all those crossbows going down is an absolute disaster for China. Vivi's gonna go down to like 21 military, and if you also add the fact that the Vikings will have a much stronger eco than the Chinese player, this is a dream for Suomi. We get another big fight on the left side. Max has +2/+2 knights. Yo has no more knights on the field, and the same thing is happening on the other side. Exact same thing. Surround on the crossbows, and if you look at the Chinese army now, 18 military for Tim, 15 for Yo, 21 for Lix, 21 for Vivi, compared to 43, 36, and so much better army numbers right now for Suomi. But if you look at the eco of Zupi in return, he's got pretty much no eco. Everybody is idle. So at least Lix can actually replenish his army, which is something to keep in mind, and that's quite a lot of knights to deal with. Luckily, those crossbows are firing downhill, so at least it's lucky for Suomi. And let's see what Max is up to. He's not far away from imping here. But Tim is already going up to Imperial here, which is going to be something to keep in mind as well. So he's going to have Arblasts that are going to beat Rubenstock. Actually, Ruben is going up to Imperial. He's fine. Rubenstock is super fine. And if he starts mining stone, he can drop a castle, get obsidian arrows, and those arbs will be pretty devastating over there. So it looks like we are going to get into an Imperial Age scenario here, which is going to show the weakness of Berbers here in this pocket. You will not have Paladin, which is going to be a problem. How does Max have so many wheels? Max was 2 TC boom for the majority of the game, so he already had a wheel lead going into Castle Age, and then he just added the third TC and caught up even more. So, and also Max is an insane macro. Max is one of the best pocket players in competitive Age of Empires. So his macro is just showing over here. There is 2 more players down below, but it's AoE built-in overlay, so you can't see it. I could remove the smaller or the bigger fonts, but then you can't see the numbers because they're too small. And Max, he's got 28 cavalry over here. Yo also has the same upgrades on those units, but it looks like Yo is gonna be facing quite a lot of pressure over here. And Yo, I think that's already a mining camp, but soon trade will start going for both teams over here. Anyways, that's a beautiful heal to hold for Rubenstock until he reaches Imperial, which is going to be in a couple of seconds. And Rubenstock just 4 on stone right now, so Obsidian Arrows is still far away. I feel like he could have actually sent a little bit more on stone, so he can just grab Obsidian Arrows and Orbs, and then really capitalize on that early Imperial Age advantage. Other side, we got a heal over here for Vilas, who is still missing +2 defense. Vivi has this for quite a while, so that's an advantage for Vivi. And what's even worse for Suomi, Vivi is almost up to Imp. Vilas is just about to click up. I think he's missing buildings, and that's a problem. Like, this is gonna be 3.5 minutes until he has to hold out against Imperial Age units. That's a significant problem. We gotta pause again over here. So Zupi, he has taken quite a significant beating, so we have one very strong pocket here for Suomi. The other one is relatively weak. Meanwhile, it's a little bit more balanced for the Chinese team, but Vivi is definitely ahead of Vilas right now because Vilas is missing extra armor, and Vilas is gonna have to wait an awful lot of time until he can actually get to Imperial, and I don't know how he's gonna defend against that many orbs. Why is it paused? Because players are pausing. That's basically it. Players paused it. I have no influence on that. Maybe someone dropped. Maybe someone, I don't know, needed to take a 2 minutes break. I don't know. There's a higher chance of a pause in a team game, obviously, than in the case of a 1v1 game. So, yeah, Max, he is almost up and he's gonna have an insane amount of cavalry on the field. Yo isn't that much behind in terms of eco numbers, but the military numbers are a lot more scary. 51 to 38 is something to look at. So, yeah, The other concern is that Zupi isn't an imp yet. So this is the moment where he might even start slinging Max here. Because Zupi is still far away from Imperial. He's got 8 on gold. I don't know when Zupi could get to imp, and it might be more beneficial to just sling Max here into Paladins. Because right now, Suomi has 2 players still in Castle Age. Vilas is just going up, and as I said, when these guys actually turn to Arbalest and when these guys turn to Cavalier, I don't know how Vilas is going to hold. That's a massive, massive concern. I wouldn't mind getting some stone walls up here, to be honest. Alright, Arbs versus Arbs over here, +1 defense for Rubenstock, +2 for Tim. Tim also has the range advantage, 10 versus 8 only. And I think Max is waiting for the Cavalier to come in, aim for plate barding. But it seems like they are actually committing so that they can get a good surround by the time the upgrades come in. Yo is getting his own upgrades. Now, Yo is not up. That's a problem. That's a huge problem for WWP over here, that Yo is not up. And that's going to be quite a lot of Arbs. Over here, more Knights are coming in. That was a premature engagement for Suomi though, because Max still doesn't have the upgrades. Still doesn't have the upgrades, and that was very, very early. I thought he's gonna get the upgrades a little bit faster, but honestly, there is already Cavalier for Lix, and they just lost all the army from Rubenstock. That was a beautiful sandwich from the Chinese team. That was a little bit premature as well from Max. Anyways, I think Max now can actually pretty much take a relatively even engagement over here, but I guess he prefers to disengage. But this is looking very good now for China, because even though Yo isn't up yet, there's already one Imperial Age player with Cavalier that's actually comparable to Max's Cavalier. And on the right side, they're absolutely rocking. So, Castle in the face of Vilas, and as I said, Vilas, 99% to Imperial, just getting Thumbring. He still needs a little bit more time until he can get his upgrades in. Max going for the Paladins. Max is on the way to Paladins, but that's going to take quite a lot of time. However, we also have to keep in mind that the Berbers don't have Paladins, so when Max gets to Paladins, this could get interesting. And it looks like Lix is gonna be bringing in heavy camos, but if either Rubenstock or Vilas has the archers on the field, that could not really work. The problem is that Ruben is at 59 eco. Team doesn't have a lot more either, but this is what I was talking about. 3.5 minutes to imp is like an awful lot of time, and you can actually experience it over here. Like, Racer is already in, but still no Arbalest. These guys are now having +2 defense, but Vivi's got +4. Eventually, Vilas is going to be able to take this fight, but his eco is in ruins. So, that 3.5 minutes is just so long here. Now he can take this fight, but what is left of his eco? Nothing. And he already has rams in his face. So, I don't think he's gonna be able to counterattack this. If you add the fact that Max is gonna have Paladin. However, Yo is getting... where is Yo at? Yo is getting Cavalier in just now, and Yo could actually afford Paladin pretty soon as well. So, oh, this is so over. The Cavaliers are overrunning Zupi over here. On the right side, there's too many Arbs in the face of Vilas. There's Rams, there's traps coming in. Vilas has like no operational eco at this point, so barely any villagers working. And left side isn't doing really well for Suomi as well. The left side is relatively even, but the right side has completely collapsed at this stage. There is some Paladins getting into the eco of Yo. It's going to be a little bit annoying. Yo is just at 84 villagers, but it's going to be double Cavaliers, soon to be Paladins from Yo. And we could also have some heavy camos on the field from Lix. And in the meanwhile, Zupi isn't even close to being a factor. Max has an insane eco, that's true, but Vilas is being overrun here very much. This could be a good fight for Vilas. He's taking the hill over here. Other side, Cavalier and coming in right now. Max has 40 military, Lix has 47, Team has 31, Yo 16 only, which is a little bit concerning. This fight over here, definitely not ideal for Vivi. He's throwing away a lot of Arbs, and these are the fights that Suomi needs to come back into this game, because this is a beautiful fight for Suomi. Firing down hills, and you can see that massacre. That was an awful move from Vivi. That was an absolute slaughter. Notice that there was actually a market foundation over here with stone walls, so Vilas actually tried trapping this army in here, and he was, boy oh boy, successful doing that. The problem is that he's still losing some of his base, and if there is no cavalry support, he could be in trouble. But here comes the cavalry from Max. Other side, Rubenstock coming in with more Arbs. Really there is the castle. So you could actually try getting Obsidian Arrow Orbs because you just need one small advantage in a fight. And with Obsidian Arrows, you can actually start knocking down walls and doing insane damage with just a couple of crossbows, which could be something to monitor. Anyways, trade is being set up for both teams over here, so Suomi is not ready to quit on this one just yet, and yeah, the camos will just get destroyed by the arbalasts over here. There is still no siege, though, from any of the Suomi players on the right side, so stopping this one is going to be a little bit tough, and skirms will be added here by Vivi. Vivi is running low on gold here. Trade cards already getting out for them. Rubenstock trying to push the base of Mr. Yo, and Mr. Yo is at 109 villagers now. He caught up with Max's villager numbers. He caught up completely, and that is a very, very disturbing sight for Suomi, because if it's even paladin numbers, Yo is gonna have better paladins for himself than Max will be able to grab. Zupi is still pretty much dead, and on the right side it seems like I think Vivi is still ahead of Vilas. Because, like, there is castles coming in Vilas's face. And remember that Suomi doesn't have this corner on the right side. They are trying to set up trade over here. But the other side or other corner is just not there. So, yeah, the left side is still pretty much a stalemate, I would say. I love how Team is starting to do the stone walls. Team is known for his stone walls, so that's not a major surprise over here. And this castle staying up here. The Rams will eventually go down, sure, but there's Camels in here to deal with the Paladin. Orbs and Camels should be able to beat the Skirm and the Skirm and Camel should be easily beaten by Orbs and Paladins. The problem is that Zupi and Vilas's eco is just an absolute disaster. Like, look at what Vilas has to do to keep his eco working. He's got 2 on food right now. His eco is just non-existent. And yes, the unit composition might not be the most ideal for the Chinese team over here, but at least they have a very reliable and steady eco to play with. So, left side we got Paladins pushing over here. As I said, there will be lags in these team games because it's definitive edition. So, let's see this fight over here. I feel like this is enough for the Britons here. The Thumbring should be there for Rubenstock already, but I don't think this is a good enough fight here for Suomi. And an even fight isn't satisfactory. In fact, this isn't even an even fight. This is an absolute slaughter here as well in the middle. Max trying to fall back to this ridge, but military numbers aren't looking good for Suomi anymore. Like, Yo is only at 26 military, but Max 44, Ruben is at 27, and if you look at V, for example, 70 army, Lix at 40, 70 as well for Tim, and there is no trade for the Suomi team. I think they will be without gold very soon. Like, as you see, trade is being set up, but this is very inefficient. This actually goes to this market over here, or this one. But there's already hubs, skirms, and Vivi is getting bombard towers in. I don't think that the Chinese team is going to let this slip out of their grasp. Vivi can even mine this gold over here, and if they actually get some bombard towers in this corner, then this is over, because Suomi will never have a good enough trade to get anything going over here. So the trade from China is just going to be always way, way, way better. So castle up for Zupi over here, and Max's numbers 33, Yo's numbers 42. I feel like that's pretty much telling the story now. This castle is still standing, and that's the only reason why these orbs aren't moving in. But slowly, Yo is catching up to Max. In fact, he's now surpassing him. 177 pop, 160 for Max. This feels over. It's not necessarily over because of the current military numbers. It's over because Suomi is nowhere close to establishing a reasonable and safe trade. Like, they have some trade going on over here, but that's gonna be raided in a couple of seconds. And if you look at China, they have a much more reasonable long-term setup with trade already coming in here. It's corner to corner, very efficient trade, and you also have the reach over here for these Briton Arps to hold. So it's just about what could Suomi do in a couple of minutes, and the answer is nothing. They tap out. How to check the trade count? Should be a tab for that. Do we have it? Not really. But the way you can actually check the trade count in very, very late game is that you basically look at the gold mine getter or gold getter count. So, like, at this point, the map should be pretty low on gold, so chances are that the units that are gathering gold are all trade cards. But yeah, you can actually check it over here, as you see, but that is only for the player that you are having your POV on. So I have my POV on Lix right now, so you can see Lix has 13, but Tim, for example, only has 7. I was looking for a method to check it for all the players at the same time. But anyways, beautiful game from China. Suomi played well in this one, but I feel like Zupi fell behind so much in Castle Age. And I think the nail in the coffin was that this is originally the base of Villas, by the way. I don't know if you have actually seen it, but this is how the base of Villas was looking like at the beginning of the game and at the end of the game. Everything was destroyed inside his base. And that was because his imp was late. Or, well, it wasn't necessarily late, it was just later than Vivi's imp, and that was enough. So, Vivi just beat his opponent to Imperial, and the thing is that if you get beaten to Imperial, it's insanely hard to climb back, because your opponent has like 4 minutes to push you, and that 4 minutes is an awful lot of time when you are trying to protect your base. So yeah, this part of the game, like, see this difference? This was the moment where Vilas was just not able to hold, and you can see that his population decline started pretty much when Vivi reached Imperial, and he wasn't in Imperial. And from that point on, it was just a snowball. Vivi got the imp upgrades a little bit better as well, so Vilas went for Arb and Bracer, but he didn't have +4 defense while he had to take fights. And yeah, Zupi's military count was not consistent enough here to compensate for that right side. So that is game number 1 in the hands of WWP or Chinese team.